Okay, so this is my iteration Skyrim video, where we'll be starting in Sappho's Mine. You begin in the cave entrance, and proceed from there into a long corridor with a gap in the ceiling to let down sunlight. There isn't a skybox in yet, but I am working on that. There are further gaps in the ceiling with light shining down through them before the player comes to the first shipping room, which is full of boxes. There will later be a couple of triggered ambush encounters through these boxes, but I haven't gotten the trigger zones working yet. I can show you those in the level images later if you'd like. There's a treasure box marker here for if the player circles around, and the player will continue when they reach these doors. Which also currently do not have collisions. The player would then proceed down this hallway and through into the main room, which is lit with a large skylight in the center. When they advance into this room, there's a raiding party available to be seen. There's the mine over there, and a continuation to the rest of the mine over there, marked by a torch. Please ignore my complete inability to actually fight these things effectively. I am still level 1 because I've barely finished the tutorial. Down here, there's a spot where you can mine over there next to the pickaxes, and a way back out again, and it's designed so you could fall down the shaft. When you advance past the Falmer, I think, you find another group of them in here that will later continue into another storeroom. You proceed from there into a series of maze-like hallways that also have a set of trigger ambush encounters in them, but again, I haven't got those working yet, so they're the trigger zones. You then proceed up the series of corridors to the upper floor, where the character enters the room used by the miners. In this room, a certain amount of loot can be picked up, specifically themed to what they would be digging out of the ground. And there are a couple of gem spawners in the dirt around the mill that are supposed to mimic that they're sifting them out of the dirt over there. This is the room where they sleep. There are boots and a couple of other personal objects scattered around. And over here is the ore processing room. There is ore available up on chests over there, and a smeltery, and then places where one can work metal scattered around. In here there's the kitchen with a working cooking interface, and plates and other decorative memorabilia back here. There is also a chef's hat available, which I've been wearing on previous playthroughs. The player then proceeds through the exit hallway. There are more treasure spawners set up over here once I set values to them. And the player would then proceed through more of the corridors. Upwards again to the next floor. This then enters into a series of mining tunnels, which enters the maze region of the game. The maze is on the 3rd floor, which can be seen from this balcony, and is primarily populated by frostbite spiders. Normally I've been messing around with webbing up here. There's also more sunlight shafts coming down, but pathing isn't completed for this area, and I have gotten trapped several times by webs, and I didn't want that to happen on this playthrough. If you continue out through the correct corridor in the maze, You come out into a series of wider mining tunnels, and there is ore again available scattered around on the ground to note that this is a mine. From here, one reaches the final rooms of the area, where there are ranged archers up there who can take pot shots at you, which encourages the player to continue onwards into this room, which is currently guarded by a giant. The player can choose to get past quietly or to combat him, as is their choice. Through this area is the current final boss of the game. He's set to a harder difficulty than the other monsters that they previously faced, and will probably be in a room through here if I get the pathing of a rail set up properly. On defeating him, the quest would complete, and the player would be encouraged to leave the mine, and which they would do by exiting through this balcony, down onto the rocks as seen before, and down the scaffolding here, and from there would just go back out the way they came in. It is possible to leave through that route without being damaged. I was just taking it a little faster than I should have. A lot of the emphasis in these levels is placed on lighting, especially from above, and on the division of populated areas to cave areas. So that's my level. Thanks.